Hey, how's it going? So, real quick, I was thinking about all the westerns I've been watching, and I thought, I went there because I wanted to just have something that I'm looking at not abrade me, basically. There's nothing electronic in those times except for the telegraph, and you don't see it very often. The shows are rarely about the telegraph machine, office, or person. There's, it's the old west, so there's no automated anything. They barely have trains. So it was just like an escape, really. And the only thing is inside of all those shows, I kept finding parallels to now, unpleasant ones. We just repeat and repeat and repeat stuff over and over until, my God, I hope eventually we get it. But actually, something else that I have always wondered, or not always, but for a long time, and I realized this earlier, that I started wondering about this probably when I was in my mid teens. And the wondering is about how in the world did the so called Wild West not become wild anymore? How did it get civilized? And I've touched upon it briefly in other videos, but here I want to kind of expand on that a little bit because it's also like I guess looking at it to get clues to how we're going to end the situation of the wildness on this side of the screen in reality right now. Um, I don't think it's going to end quickly. I don't think it's going to be like a magic incision type surgical stoppage to the violence and the discord between people. Um, I think that's like everything that we do. It's a process. It's going to take time, and so it kind of feels like we're just like beginning to middle of the process of like moving out of the violence thing. But I think it's going to take years, And so I think I was looking at the westerns for clues to see like how do we make our way out of what we're going into? Because we've been there before, we can come out of it again. I don't know that the sort of motivations for killing are at all the same now as they were then, but I think there's a lot that we just didn't even know. Like there was no recording, there was no reporting of a lot of stuff, and it was a word of mouth because, like I said, there was no phones, there was no computers, there was no way to instantaneously spread news. So it took a long time. People were spread out from each other, possibly. Like in cities, no, of course not, but in like unsettled areas of the West where they were people moving there and displacing the people that were there in the first place. And they came in with some pretty amazing reasons to be right about just displacing people, but we still do that too. And it's not even like we're however many hundreds of years ago it was that some explorers stepped onto like the western shores of North America and just started taking over and mowing people down, and like, you're savages, who cares if you have this whole structure and world the way that your tribe and a whole bunch of other tribes cooperate. Okay, so I don't want to get all mixed up in that, but what I'm saying is I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I think it is going to get better. I think that at one point I came to the conclusion that it all kind of resolved in the West because civilization started happening and more modern conveniences started happening. And I mean, it must have been a real shift in consciousness, I guess, to go from everything being so hard and everything being a danger, and you could like get killed or your kids could get killed by life, death, birth, uh, weather, Indians. outlaws. There's so many things, or just your family members doing not great things, and that happens now all the time. But the point is it doesn't. History doesn't tell it that way. It's also clean and nice and polite. I'm sorry, but there has to have been, like they talk about the Indians or the natives, indigenous people coming up and raiding colonists and like stealing the women and the children or killing everybody or whatever happened in any particular situation. But that's not, I'm sure, not the only people that were doing violence to other people. And it's not like they, I'm sorry, I think the natives felt justified, and I think they were right because, like I said, they were there already living, and then here comes this horde of these weird looking, smelling people that are just like, you're wrong, you look wrong, you act wrong, you don't even know anything. And these guys are like, yeah, but we've been here 6,000 years. Who the hell are you? But still, well, we know how it's turned out. So I guess I was also looking for clues to see how all of the violence is going to resolve. I don't know. I mean I haven't really tried to look at that, like look forward and see what that might be like. I suppose I will at some point. But there's like that kind of stuff happening with the wildness and the violence and everybody fighting each other and hating on each other when, well, it's not everyone, because like Twitter, for instance, I have watched like a show on TYT, one of many, I'm sure, where the subject was not only just like what's going to happen if Elon Musk does purchase Twitter, but just that the way people say that Twitter is so horrible and so terrible. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, yeah, but you know what? You're out there, you're kind of famous, you're provocative, you don't take any crap, and you give it as good as you get. But um, that's you've put yourself in a position to be attacked, basically. My Twitter is not like that. My Twitter is very nice. It's lovely. Like, I'm probably the worst person on there, like dropping turds in the punch bowl because some horrible change in law will come up and I'll feel like I need to share this because I feel like, okay, like we're not talking about any of that stuff here, but we shouldn't ignore it because, well, you got your head in kittens and puppies and flowers and photographs. There's shootings going on around you, or. So a lot of people talking about leaving. That's happened. That's not new. You know, they talk about it, they say it, and they don't do it. I have thought about it, but it would be. I just don't have money. I mean, I could get money to do it. I could do it right now if I just divested myself of pretty much everything that I had and just, you know, pack very, very light. I got one cat out the door. He's still hanging on today. I bathed him again. He got out of the chair once he was dry and sat in front of the heater while I was out shopping for a couple of hours. And while I was putting groceries away in the other room, he came out and, oh, it's so hard to watch him. He can't walk straight. He can barely walk. And he ended up, I guess for comfort, going and sitting in his litter box, which hasn't been used by the other cat because the one that's in there now, you know, not doing well, made it pretty clear, like, I will kill you if you touch my litter box. So poor other kitty has to make sure I know he needs to go so that I can let him out. And he's so good, he's never gone in the house. What a good boy. So anyway, I would have to, I don't know how I could take a cat and a second one that's really sick. It would have to wait, you know. I don't have anywhere to put him. I can't put him in the hospital. I have no one to give him to. He needs care, and he's my baby. I have to see him out. I have to take care of him as he goes. But that's not going to be for much longer, I don't think. I mean, he's like super kitty. He hasn't eaten for days. He's just drunk water, and like I said, he's very weak. It's so hard to watch him. It's so hard. But if I didn't have to worry about him, I couldn't sell like my stuff. Nobody wants my stuff. I've tried to sell stuff and everyone's like, your stuff is garbage. So I guess I would just take what I need and leave shit. I don't know what else I could do, but in any case, I'm not going to be doing any of that because why should I leave? I'm this is my life. This is where I come from. This is where my people come from. Maybe I don't know how long ago, like at least 100 years ago, somebody came from somewhere else, but that doesn't matter anymore. That has no meaning to me. The wherever they came from, I don't even know, and what it was like there. Do I speak the language? I don't know. I know that my grandfather's mother came from Africa. I'm pretty sure he said South Africa, and the picture of her looked like a white lady. He looked more like me, so there was some of that born a crime, Trevor Noah type African black on white stuff happening in my deep past, at least on my paternal side. But beyond that, and I'm not even really sure, there's not even anyone to ask anymore. I mean, I have relatives that I could ask, but they don't talk to me. And when I reach out to them, it's obviously like a problem that I never call it a good time. It's always interrupting dinner or some child is on fire. Like there's always some reason why it was a bad time that I called. So I kind of just like whatever. If they ever decide they want to hear a word from me again, they can find me. But I would stay here now. I mean, I would love to go someplace and visit for sure. That would be easier actually. I could board my cats. But well, maybe I could. I could figure something out, maybe. But I think I'm going to stay. And I'll tell you the main reason is because I discovered a slogan several months ago and I only started to hear it a little bit more as the months have gone by. But I immediately recognized it for what it was. It was anti black. And it is black people ruin everything. And if that's the case, then that's 100% of the reason why I should just stay. Like, if it's going to ruin your day, I'm not even having to do anything. I don't even see you. I don't even know you exist. And my existence is still ruining your day. Okay, how about a mirror? Like, do you ever think about, even if you don't care what I'm saying, you think it's totally 100% righteous to just hate me because I'm black or whatever else? And black woman, okay, sure. I don't think they like that too well either, the people that hate people. So all the more reason for me to stay. Like, am I ruining it for you? You people have done nothing to make my life hard, or people like me our lives hard for centuries. Wah, sorry, we're ruining whatever. So yeah, I'm staying. And I hope that other people like me will come to the same conclusion. Like, screw them. They don't get to just say awful things and make you feel bad and make you scared. Like, I'm not scared. Okay? Like, I'm sure if somebody like came at me aggressively, my body would react in a scared way. But you know what? Screw it. What can you do? You're gonna kill me. I'm gonna die. Woo! That's gonna happen anyway. I'm expecting that. This is gonna happen to you too. So I don't know if I ever feared it because it just seems like it would be a relief and an end to all of the stuff here that's not nice or good or fun. And so that about covers it. I'm actually running much shorter on time than I normally do. So I'm going to talk about something else. And it's a two-part episode of the Cheyenne Western show with Clint Walker. And I didn't prepare stuff for you to look at because I it was a two-parter, the one that I want to talk about, and I accidentally erased the first one. And I have to wait till it rerun comes back around in I don't know however many months for me to I suppose I could find the episode because I do have the second one. But the point is, it was two episodes about Custer's Last Stand. And it's a different take on the story because it's like what I was talking about there. The writers knew that you had only certain information coming out. It could be good, right, and true, or not. It could definitely be shaded by opinion, you know, influenced basically to a person's sensibilities. Like it wouldn't be impartial. Uh, so the writers of these two episodes about Custer's Last Stand in the Cheyenne show kind of made a story of what they thought might have happened, because this was something maybe it was in history, but boy, I sure don't remember it. I remember more of the stuff about the battle where the Indians, the indigenous, I don't know which one I want to pick, one of those, but the people that were here first, basically, um, what I knew was that it was a land dispute. I know they wanted them off the land so that white people could inhabit it, or maybe the army or something like that. But anyway, they didn't want to give up their land because, hello, we're living here, and who are you people? How are you running us off our own land? This is crazy. So, of course, they were fighting them. And in the show, what they said is the reason was for the land grab is that it had been given to the Indians. It was reservation land, and then somebody discovered it was the Black Hills, I think, of Deadwood is that area. South Dakota, I think South Dakota, and it was worthless land. They didn't care. The Indians were on it. They were like, fine, have the scrub land that we think is useless because we haven't lived here for 6,000 years and we don't know what the land has to offer because we have our heads up our butts. I don't know. But they found gold. And then all of a sudden, the army wanted to come back. So that sounds like it could be real. But it's so funny the way they portrayed Custer in the show. Like, he seems, from what I've read, to have been very sort of self-involved, like really into like his appearance, his long, luxurious locks, and just kind of hipster, I would think you would compare it to. And I think they maybe have been some nepotism or something involved with his rise, because he was really... Hold on. That was weird. Sounded like a man coughing out there, but all I could find was the cat had rotated his position inside the enclosed litter box. So I don't know what that was. But I hear weird noises all the time out there. Smell cigarette smoke all the time too. Haven't smoked since April of 2019, and everything will be all closed up, and there's no reason for me to be smelling cigarette smoke, but it's like someone sitting right here with a cigarette, either breathing it on me or just, floating. Anyway, it wasn't anything like that. It was the cat. But Custer, he was very vain, it seemed like, and it seemed like he advanced really fast, and that's why I think there was nepotism or something of the sort. He was not, I don't think, that well seasoned a soldier, and from the story we know, he went charging into an area where he got his ass ambushed and killed. So, and his whole retinue, the whole troop, I guess. So, the way the story is told, though, is that the character Cheyenne has been off and on a scout for the army, and he is named Cheyenne because his family was killed by the Cheyenne except for him, and they kept him from childhood into adulthood, so they changed his name to Cheyenne, which I don't think the Indians would have just named him Cheyenne. They probably would have given him like a name from their tribe, but I don't think any of the writers were from any tribe except maybe the tribes of Israel or something. But he was the go-between, and he was trying to alert the natives to the fact that there was gold on their land, and that's why they should be expecting an attack from the army. And at first, they don't believe him, because they've already talked to their people and they've already been told a lie by the government, and they think everything's cool. And he's like, "No, man, I'm trying to tell you." And they're like, and of course, nobody wants to listen to him until it's too late. But it's interesting the things that took place in this episode that I don't think we would have heard in history. And it's imagined, but I just thought it was interesting that what happened to Custer, and the fact that we don't really know, we don't even know stuff now, like we can get as close to the truth as we want, but we don't know who's telling the truth. Or, if six people are in a situation, they're all going to see something different. They're going to see the whole thing differently. And there's that aspect to it too. So, yeah, we don't really think before we leap as a country, and it's not new. It's just kind of the way things have always been done, but there are a lot of considerations to take now, and we still have like the same people suffering from the same infliction from basically the colonizers. And so they started this. They made everybody mad. They displaced people. So hell no, I ain't going nowhere. And that about covers it. Thank you and good night.